Good morning, welcome to 59 Minutes. My name is Levi Kones. Very privileged this morning to have a guest who has had a battle with cancer. And for many, when they hear cancer, they always think it's a dreaded disease, it's a killer disease, but she's here to testify that you don't have to die from cancer, and cancer is not a death sentence. And she's here to tell her story. Carol Nganga, karibu sana.
Asante.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you very much for hosting me. Finally. It's been almost several years
Yes.
since we last spoke.
Yes.
Gone through Lima. I met you, I think, through Lima, but we've never met physically, and I'm glad that
Glad to finally meet you too. Tell me, your story starts with your diagnosis. How was that like?
Interesting is, first of all, I had never interacted with cancer. Cancer was very far away from me.
Mhm.
I was turning 27.
Yeah.
It's not anything I had ever thought about. I was not going for testing because I thought I would ever have cancer.
Yeah.
Growing up, one of the things I used to pray, oh God, please save me from cancer. Then I am employed. It's just after university, I've been employed, and my employer gives me a medical cover.
Mm-hmm.
And just before the year ends 2012, we are told next year we are coming to get a new medical cover.
Yeah.
And so every medical cover has that where you're given checkup once a year. I said, I need to utilize this. So I had said, before it lapses, I'm going to use it. But I still postponed until 28th of December. I go to the salon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to make.
What year is this?
2012.
Uh-huh.
I'm supposed to make my hair, and then my salon takes longer. I'm like, why am I wasting time here? Let me rush, go for this test so that I can make sure that my medical cover is fully utilized. So left the salon.
So ni ile ya kumalizia tu medical cover.
Yeah, you know,
Well, a lot of us do that.
Kenya.
Yeah. You don't want to leave anyone pending with
I mean, how can you just give back the medical cover?
True.
You know? So for me, it was not anything that I had even thought or planned or even imagined in my life.
Mm-hmm. And you had no symptoms.
I had no symptoms. I had never done a pap smear ever in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So this time, I had my friend who had done a pap smear, and so she at least she had an idea what it is. For me, I was so scared. There's so much myth, and I know you have heard women talk about it. Oh, it's painful. Oh, I don't know what. Oh, I don't know. It is uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
I also was that woman. So I called my friend and I told her, Rose, I'm going for a test and I'm scared. Be with me. I went and did several tests in less than 10 minutes. The pap smear lasted under 1 minute. And I was like, why have we been telling women that it is uncomfortable and painful? I didn't feel any pain. I didn't feel any uncomfortable. You see?
Previously, that's what had stopped
That is what had stopped me from doing it.
Yeah.
Went back to life as normal. Remember, I was not sick, I had no symptoms, and I've utilized my medical cover. Went back to life as normal. I forgot to even go and check the results. I wasn't sick.
So you crossed into a new year.
Crossed to the new year. Moved on. 3 weeks later, I'm passing by the hospital. Not because I was even called by anyone. Mm-hmm. I'm passing by in the evening.
Yeah.
I was going for a date. Wow. I said, let me walk in and check my results.
Nilikuwa hapa.
See, 3 weeks ago, I passed by and nataka results.
Yeah.
I still believe it's God who pushed me to that direction, because they never called me. When I told them my name, they walked around for they took more than 30 minutes. And you could tell their faces. There were 3 girls in white dust coats. Mm-hmm. You could tell their faces have changed, but cancer still did not click in my head.
What were you thinking that time?
I was thinking maybe diabetes, hypertension, because my dad is diabetic, my grandfather, in my family history, there's diabetes. The worst would have been diabetes or hypertension. Mm-hmm. So then, after some time, I asked them, so why are you not giving my results? Then one lady calls me, tells me, Madam, tunaona ni kama uko na cancer. Levi, that is what I was told.
Were you standing? Were you seated?
I was seated. And I was like, Goja. Umesema nini? Tunaona kama ama iko. What are you saying? It's like, oh, I can't tell you. It's the doctor. It's only the doctor who can tell you. I'm like, what do you mean? Where is the doctor? It was late in the evening at around 7:30. It's like, where is the doctor? Like, daktari anakujanga Tuesdays, today is Friday. You're telling me daktari atakuja
That was
kuniambia
terrible.
Friday.
They should even have told you to, you know, wait, come and see the doctor on
Or
Tuesday.
even sealed an envelope and not give.
Yeah.
That is
So it was
how,
very crude.
That is how I got. Somehow I got the grace. I asked, please give me a photocopy of my results, and I just left. Wait for my date. Normally, when I have bad news, I get numb. I was numb for 2 days. Like, I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't think. I couldn't touch. I couldn't do anything. 2 days later, I was like, what did these people tell me? So I opened and I Googled the terminologies that I saw there.
Yeah.
Another worst
Yeah,
mistake
right,
that you
CA,
do.
nini, carcinoma,
Yes. The worst mistake you will ever make is to try and Google. Because
I think most patients who have had cancer Google.
Yeah. The next minute, I was bleeding. The next minute, I think my mind told the body, "Bas, you're sick." I was so sure I was dying.
Oh dear.
And I am alone. That time, the date I'm going for, the relationship has really broken. It was already messed up, but I think I was still fighting it. So I'm trying to, it was yesterday when I was thinking, was my biggest challenge the breakup or the cancer? I still don't know where I was. I was still young.
Oh, so you went for a date to break up?
It was, I think it was one of those days. And when I Googled, I was so scared. I took a list of all the doctors that I can get and called as many as I could to see who is available immediately, so for a second opinion or for something. So I did second opinion, third and fourth, like I did pap smear.
At this point, have you shared with someone?
No.
No one, kabisa?
I couldn't believe it. How am I going to share something that I don't even believe? So even when I went to the first doctor, the second one and the third one, I didn't tell them anything. I told them I've just come for a pap smear. So the first one we did at, I think, Mpisha. I felt it was not enough. I passed by Aga Khan. It was not enough. I came to town. It was not enough. I did 5 pap smears in a day. So by the end of the day, I was bleeding. I was tortured. But I haven't told anyone.
And you're waiting for results?
And I'm waiting for pap smear takes 7 days. My goodness, those were the longest 7 days of my life.
I can imagine.
They were the longest. So that time you're thinking but of course the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, I'm dying. Okay, but now who do I tell? Around that time, my dad was so sick. So I'm like, do I add this to the family burden? What do I do? I pushed I kept calling the hospitals, and Nairobi Hospital released my results in 4 days because I was very persistent. So in 4 days, then I was not told to come and pick the results from hospital. I was told, go to your doctor. So I was so sure. If they cannot break the news to me, it must be bad. So I have to go to the doctor. That time I was going to see another.
They don't even know that, you know, it's such a giveaway.
Yeah. They're like, please go see.
Daktari atakwambia.
What? I wish they even told, because from Thika to Nairobi, I think that was the longest journey ever. Then I was coming to see an elderly man. I still remember him. He had gray hair, old. Walked into his office. He was writing something. I sat down. He looked at my documents, and he just looked up a little bit and told me, msichana, tutatoa tu hii uterus yako. I don't know, he assumed I had been told what the results are or what, but he was, si tutatoa tu. So, and he started opening the diary, telling me, I just need to deposit a certain amount of money and we need to book for theater. I asked him, Daktari, have you checked how old I am? I just turned 27. 2, why are we removing the uterus? What is the problem? Because in your thinking, you've been told you have cervical cancer. So why is the uterus being removed? Yeah. So like no one had taken time.
They had said it was cervical.
Yes, they had said it was cervical.
Had they told you anything about staging?
No, nothing. Like I had no idea what was happening.
Yeah.
So the question was, you've told me, you've mentioned cervical cancer. Because anyway, in my little knowledge, I knew pap smear checks cervical cancer. So why are you telling me uterus? What does the uterus have to do with this? But he didn't have time to explain to me. He was busy. And so I just could not understand anything. Told him, please give me a copy of my results. And that is something I keep telling patients. It is of importance to have a copy of all the tests, everything. I feel sad when I visit a patient and they say, I left everything with the doctor. Yeah. Why?
It's your body.
It's your body, it's you who is being treated. You need to understand. So I asked for my results. walked out. I stood at the lift. I could not tell where I was. I felt my head was this big. That is the day now I called my brother and I told him, I've been told I might have cancer. I never opened my mouth to say I have it. And please come and pick me. He asked me, where are you? I don't know. They had to look for me. They had to trace my phone. I did not know where I was. I had no idea, like my head. And I told him, when you come here, please don't ask me anything. He was kind enough, and for the longest time, every time I told him that, he never asked. So he took me home. The following day, asked me, what do you want? I said, nothing. Where do you want to go? Nothing. Went to the office, still worked. I worked up until the last day. In between now is when I went to another doctor and another one. The one who treated me was the 5th doctor. Because I went to this one, still they don't explain to me. I don't feel comfortable. I go to the next one. I'm the person who likes getting details. And
there's a certain attitude and vibe you want from the doctor.
Yes, and I think I was so broken. I needed someone to just try and pick these small pieces and try to put them together for me. Finally, I got the best of the doctors because he took time. He sat down and he told me, don't come alone, come with someone. So I went with my brother. And he sat for 30 to 45 minutes explaining from zero to, like, this is what happens. This is when that time the doctor told you this, it was because of this. Now we are talking about almost a month later of in and out of tests. But he's the one person who explained every little detail, and I felt peaceful. That's how I was able to trust him. Because I remember even just before I went to theater on 23rd of March 2013, I was so scared, and the only person I wanted to see was my doctor. And when I saw him, I was sure I was in good hands. Like
he gave you confidence.
He gave me confidence the time I walked with him, and he was human. He was very human.
That's very important.
Sometimes he could call me at night, and I still remember he used to go, "My dear Caroline, are you well? How are you doing? Are you feeling any? How are you handling?" Like that shows human. I don't know. It shows. I don't even know what he gave me. That was a gift he gave me. So after tests and here and there, we had to do, biopsy and all these things. And I was told I have several options of treatment. There was chemotherapy, radiotherapy, laser. Surgery was no option. I mean, surgery was the first option. Then if it has spread to the other parts, we had to choose this other, but surgery had to happen. Because the cervix is round. Normally, it can grow any part of the cervix. Unfortunately for me, it had touched a part of the cervix and had touched the mouth of the uterus. So even the first doctor, it's only that he broke the news in very uncouth way. He could have said it better. He could have explained to me. But you see now when
But he kind of knew what he was talking about.
Yes, because that is eventually what we did. So on 20, so I told my doctor, from what I've read, not because I had so much information, and also and he gave me a whole 1 month. He told me, Caroline, I still hear his voice. When I want to give up in this life, I remember his voice. He told me, Caroline, you're too young, I'm not losing you. And so he told me, I'm giving you maximum 1 month for you to decide the kind of treatment you will take, and if you don't decide, I'll decide for you. Because if at this rate, it is very aggressive, and if you don't do something, you won't see June.
Did you want to go for surgery? There's a fear for many people.
I still don't know whether I wanted, because it took me 9 months to even believe I went for that surgery. Like, post the surgery, I still never believed 9 months later. After Westgate happened, and I queued for 5 hours to go and donate blood. And then on that sheet, they ask at history whether you have, and then I wrote I had cancer. Then they asked me when. I told them 6 months ago. They looked at me like, are you okay? And you're queuing to donate blood. So they had to cancel me because I had refused. I was in denial, and it is post-surgery. So even that surgery, it's not because I wanted, like my head was just numb. You would understand how you don't think. Like I was not thinking. My mom is the one who helped me through it, but she gave me the tough love. When now everyone in the family, they were concerned. Now Carol has been told she has to go for surgery, and I was saying, no, I'm not doing surgery, I'm not doing chemo, I'm not doing radio. So what do you want? Nothing. What do you want to die? No. What do you want? Nothing. I was just there. Then my mom came and visited and said,
You were being kichwangumu.
yeah, kichwa. But you see,
But I can understand because, you know,
just,
in that moment, you don't
like,
know what to think.
You don't even know what to think. And then you're being told that we are taking away your uterus. How? What is a woman without a uterus? I had never heard of a woman who doesn't have a uterus. I thought that was not even possible. How will I even survive after that? So, I mean, and also, I also wanted like 7 children. And now this is happening. I only
7?
have 1. Yes, I always wanted 7 children.
Okay, that was ambitious.
I know.
So I was about to ask you, in this economy.
Well, I don't know, maybe I was just...
But it is well.
It is well.
Yeah.
So my mom visited and said, okay, so daktari amesema nini? Nikamwambia yeye amesema niko mgonjwa. Na amesema utatibiwa nini na nini? Nikamwambia mimi sitaki kutibiwa. Oh. Haya ni sawa basi utakufa tu niachie mtoto. Those are the words that made me decide, yeah, okay, ni serious. Nisipofanya any treatment, I'll just die. So I was like, okay, so let's do this.
That spurred you into action.
Yeah, let's just do the surgery. But I am thankful to my doctor, and I'm thankful to my family because they were really there for me. And even when I was numb, because I was numb, they were still there.
Tell me something, post-surgery,
yes.
When you were brought out and you now came to your senses and you realized it's really happened, and you have no uterus, how did you cope?
It was...
You know, there's always that talk before. People tell you.
Yes, it sounds...
Now,
yes. It has happened.
You know.
It still never registered in my mind because remember before surgery I had no physical pain, and now after surgery it means I'll have physical pain. The first thing is life changes, you have to be physical. Then I was immobile, like I couldn't be able to move and do the usual things. And that is when it struck me, hiya, this is for real. This is for real. And I was so angry at God. I was so angry at the world. I was so angry at myself. I was angry at everything. I was like, why me? Like, now I was fine, I was okay, now I'm being bathed. I was fine, I had no pain, now they've cut me and they've removed something and I'm still in pain. It was anger. I journal a lot. To date, whenever I read that journal, I cry because I'm like, guy, I was such an angry woman. I was so angry. I was angry at God. I was like, yani God, okay, on a very light note, I was like, God, there's no old woman somewhere you could have taken their uterus and you leave me. I'm at 27, God, why couldn't you have picked someone else? I was just angry at God. And I remember I had broken relationship with God. I've said quotes because it's me who was angry and I was trying to handle all these things. Like I hated God for almost a year. I could not stand God. I was like, why? And I think that is a normal phase for most patients when you're trying to understand and fathom what is happening. But God is so good, like he still understands.
How long was it taking for you to heal?
It took me, for me to be able to finally stand up and go back to the office, it took me 3 months. So it's my mom, my auntie, who were taking care of me. My auntie bathed me for 2 months.
Wow. And
it was the most painful part, seeing yourself, like you sit, you can't stand, you have to be helped up, and you're 27 and you're thinking, guy, what has this become?
Even to use the bathroom?
Yes, even just sitting and standing is, people, sometimes we take for granted things. Yeah, just true. Like that you can sit and stand. I couldn't. True.
You know, when I had surgery, let me tell you.
Yes.
One time I was in bed and I dropped the remote and there was no one in the room.
And you couldn't pick it.
I couldn't pick it.
Those are some of the things that took me.
That was the day I broke. I couldn't believe it. It was just
here. Like it's here and I can't.
Then you really realize that, you know, these things we take them for granted.
That's very true.
Even the way we move our hands.
That's very true.
We move things. You wake up and swing your legs out.
And you never remember, you never imagine it's something.
Yes. It's automatic.
On my way here, the cab guy, we had a conversation and he told me, you know, it is serious that we have been breathing normally the same air, but now you get sick and then you go to hospital and you're given a bill for the air, or even that air is not available. Yeah. That is when you appreciate the little things.
Yes.
So for me, and I think that it's almost 9 years, it's going to almost 9 years since I got sick.
Yeah.
in the past 8 years, I have lived a full life. I have learned to appreciate life. I've learned to appreciate every single moment.
Tell me, in your journey up
Yes.
to the point of your surgery and your treatment, during the medical procedures, what would you say was the most traumatizing experience for you?
Being alone. I've grown up thinking I'm strong and, well, I don't like bothering people. So most of the doctor's appointment, I would go alone. And I'll tell you, it is traumatizing being on that waiting area, waiting alone. When I was going through all these things and I could go to my bedroom and hide and cry alone, it was so crushing. When sometimes you have, you know, like I remember when the doctor called me, Dr. Yamal Patel called me when I was in a supermarket. The day now that it was confirmed it's cancer, he told me, I'm not going to wait, I'll tell you the truth. Remember, he had already built the trust. And so even when he told me, I felt so at peace. He told me, unfortunately, the results are here, and unfortunately, it's cancer. You have to come to my office. I was still alone. And I was like, I was wishing I can have someone. Then the few people who tried to help me along the way, they couldn't understand. Enough people would tell me, now you are lucky you have a child. Oh, it's just the uterus that is going. But they don't understand the intensity of what I'm going through.
Yeah, actually trying to downplay
Yes,
it. And make you feel better,
and I was like, please, let me moan, let me scream, let me shout, let me deal with this. But, and then from that time I was sick, and that time I was going through the process, I hated the words, you're strong. I was not strong. I didn't want to be strong. I wanted to be allowed to be weak. But everywhere you're told, no, you're good, you're strong, Carol, you've always been strong. But I was not strong. I was crushed. And that explains why when I went back to the office, at that time I was working for USAID, I couldn't stay in that office. 2 months later, I quit my job. And I walked out and I said, no other woman who is within my reach will ever go through this journey alone. I don't have money to give. I don't have anything to give. I will be there for them. So I started going to Kenyatta, hugging women in the halls, everywhere, just being there for another woman as they go through that.
And you called that what?
Held Sister Foundation.
Held Sister Foundation.
Hold every lady who is in distress. All I wanted was to be held. Just that.
Let's take a break on that note. We're speaking to Carol Nganga about her journey with cervical cancer. We'll be right back after these messages.